he's a great quarterback. I'd certainly put him up there against anybody, but you know, I don't really feel like it's my job to you know, rate people. He's a great player. He's been a great player for the New England Patriots. Certainly his record is unmatched. Glad he's my quarterback.
That's Bill Belichick talking about Tom Brady. He says it's not his job to rate people, but you know what? He rated LT, Lawrence Taylor, and said he's the best he ever coached. And as we try to psychoanalyze Bill Belichick here this morning on PFT Live, first let me say hello. We're here at Radio Row in Atlanta, site of Super Bowl 53.
Hello. How you doing?
Chris Sims back again. Glad to see you.
You're like back again. Like I'm here almost every day.
I mean, never know when you're not going to show up. You strike me as the kind of guy who eventually is just not going to show up and have no excuse for it other than, sorry, I didn't wake up today.
I would never do that. I've never been late for a football meeting, anything. Now, I might have cut it close a few times, but I'll always be here.
You've never cut it close either. You're always, well, there was one day where
One day you got a little worried, I remember.
I'm so used to going up to my studio at my house and seeing my monitor and seeing you applying your makeup, and then as soon as you noticed me giving me the double-barreled middle finger, there was one day you weren't there, and I thought, boy, where is Chris? But that's one time in 2 years, so that's good. But we are here for the remainder of the week. We will have Dan Marino coming up, Pat McAfee, Josh Jacobs, the Alabama running back. But this Bill Belichick quote struck me as interesting because we spend, Chris, so much time trying to figure out when Tom Brady is going to choose to stop playing football.
Yeah.
We can't lose sight of the fact that he may not be immune to the Bill Belichick principle of getting rid of a guy 1 year too early instead of 1 year too late.
Sure.
And with all these young quarterbacks popping up every year, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, here comes Kyler Murray, here comes Dwayne Haskins, here comes this guy. At some point, there's going to be an urgency in that organization, and it may even go higher than Bill Belichick. It may infiltrate ownership where they say, boy, we love Tom like a son, but it's time to get a new son, right? As your dog gets older, you bring in the new dog before the old dog dies.
Sure.
You don't want the kids to get upset, so we got to go find this new dog at some point. And you wonder at what point they're going to go get their new dog.
Well, they brought in a new dog.
That is not the best simile I've ever come up with.
We're going to ride with it since you went with it. But, I mean, they brought in a new dog in Jimmy Garoppolo, okay? And, you know, Tom just still said, no, I'm going to continue to play at this level that you see here. I'm not going to fall off. And they said, okay, new dog, we got to find a new family for you. And they sent him off. But I think the big thing with Belichick and Brady, as far as ranking him, right? Okay, Belichick's not going to rank Tom Brady at this point in his career. Yeah, in Belichick's career, because he's still coaching Tom Brady. So he's not going to even get into that, you know, discussion. He wants Tom Brady to still be the captain or the commander of his ship and the offense, and he doesn't want to get into, oh, yeah, well, I think Tom is the greatest ever in this love affair before they play a big football game. He wants Tom to be mentally sharp, have that edge about him. I think all of that is there. And to your point about drafting that new dog or quarterback, I do think that we could see that happen this year. I think this could be the year where they do it and have him ready for, you know, 2 years, 3 years down the road to then take over for a Tom Brady.
Do you think that Tom Brady hears what Belichick said or didn't say and gets upset? Like, why don't you praise me more? What do I have to do to get praised by you? Or do you think he understands that Bill's not going to do that because we have a game coming up? It wouldn't look good. It wouldn't look right. It wouldn't be Bill if he praises me for being so great 4 days before we're ready to take on the Rams in Super Bowl 53.
Yeah, I think Tom probably has had moments where he's probably throughout his career gone, man, I wish my head coach would give me a little bit more respect.
And that was the whole story last year.
Right.
Right?
And yes, that's right, with the Seth Wickersham and everything about it. And I'm sure that eats at Brady at times, but I'm sure Belichick knows it eats at Brady too, and he probably likes it. I always go back to when I was there. There was always the talk in the building that Belichick felt Wes Welker played better when he was mad or angry at the coaches. And Belichick kind of, fueled that flame all the time throughout the weeks to kind of get Wes Welker to go and be ready to go. So I'm sure that's there, but at the same time, I do think Tom Brady realizes that Bill Belichick is not getting into the rankings and going to go, well, I'd put Montana 1 and Brady 2 and Marino 3 and get into that. He's just not going to do that at this point. And I think there will be a day down the road where he will sit down. I think of like Bill Walsh. He kind of did the same thing. He'll sit down with some people in the media and start to wax poetically about a Tom Brady.
And he'll pump up Tom Brady at that point to motivate whoever his quarterback is. Right?
Yes.
Right? You want to be like Tom? Hey, you want this praise? Play like Tom.
Tom was here at 5:30. Tom didn't leave till 11 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? He will. He's going to push those buttons on that guy. But the other thing is, to you, like, do you think Bill has the authority? Now, Bill has the authority over a lot, but does Bill have the authority in New England to go, you know, I think it's time to move him on, like 1 year before it's time, how you talked about, like the lawyer Malloy or whoever it was, where he's always gotten rid of that guy. I don't think he has the authority over the Kraft family when it comes to Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady literally can call his shot when he wants to stop playing.
Well, that was part of the Seth Wickersham story from last year, that Bill Belichick didn't want to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, and part of that story was that Brady was threatened by Garoppolo and wanted Garoppolo out, so they moved Garoppolo, and Bill only took a second-round pick and specifically handpicked the 49ers, thinking that Garoppolo would thrive with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, and it would make Bill look good for finding Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
But Garoppolo's gone, and Brady's still there. And remember when John Lynch, the GM of the 49ers, first called Bill Belichick about a quarterback, he said, hey, will you trade me Tom Brady? And maybe Bill Belichick would have been inclined to consider it, but I don't think the Krafts at that point were ready to go. But circumstances have changed since then.
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes, I think, is one of the big reasons circumstances have changed.
Sure.
And we've seen all these great young quarterbacks. And I'm telling you, at some point, the Krafts are going to come to the conclusion that our greatness has been fueled by having a guy that we brought in young who developed into a great quarterback. Let's get this next guy in here. Let's let him develop, and let's get him to the point where he's ready to nudge out Tom Brady the way that Brady was ready to nudge out Drew Bledsoe. Because, you know, before Drew Bledsoe gets blown up on the sidelines by Mo Lewis in 2001, Tom Brady is thinking, I'm going to take over for this guy.
Sure.
And Bill Belichick at some level is thinking Tom Brady's going to take over for this guy at some point, and that point came sooner than later. So I think there's going to be that mindset at some level of the organization. That there has to be. They can't ride this out for the next 5 years.
No, they can't. I mean, 5 years, that would be ridiculous. 1 year, okay. I'm definitely 2 years. I think that's where I look at it. I say Tom Brady goes 2 more years, depending how next year goes. I mean, I do think that, hey, he still can throw the ball. We've seen that. They have shown the ability to protect him. That's going to increase those chances to get into a second year after this Super Bowl. But I still think that at some point, Brady's going to have to just check himself a little bit and go, you know what? Okay, it is time. There is a quarterback coming up the ranks behind me, and I need to check my ego at the door and move on and go on to the next phase of my life.
And the thinking is that Tom Brady, if he's ever nudged out of New England, will choose to play somewhere else.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.